You're watching National Streaming Sports, over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.
All right, welcome to the show, everyone. As you can see, Captain Jack is not with us tonight. He is in Kansas City, so I am hosting the live show for him. Sacktown, thank you, everybody who's here tonight. I'm going to acknowledge all of you guys. The lots of news, man. Like, that was crazy, right? The Chip Kelly news. So let me go ahead and get to the chat, but that was insane, everyone, and I want everyone to chime in actually and start talking about it. And if you want to join the show, I'm going to post the link here in just a second, but I want to make sure I get to the chat. So let me see. We got Bourbon County Raider. Thank you, thanks for coming. I promise we'll be talking about all the different stuff that you guys want to talk about for tonight. We have Raider. Bob Standard, thank you. Raiders going to be great again. Tom Brady helping us. That was crazy. I didn't. Maybe you guys knew more than me. I didn't think that was going to happen. And I understand. Like, I guess I'm going to not try to pretend like I'm some Chip Kelly expert here, but there was this narrative that maybe he wasn't that great of a head coach or whatnot. The only thing I remember about Chip Kelly was when he went to the Eagles. I thought he had a good first season, a good second season, and then he got fired in the third season. And then that's about it that I really know. In terms of college, though, and his offensive coordinator abilities, I mean, the guy's pretty good. He was a part of that whole So we're here in Las Vegas, and UNLV just got Dan Mullen, right? And Dan Mullen, we're all excited about him. He's going to run the spread offense. He's going to make the offense very excited for UNLV. But Chip Kelly was a part of that whole coaching group with Dan Mullen. They were calling themselves like the New Hampshire Mafia or something like that. But yeah, from what I understand, he is an offensive coordinating genius. And apparently the paycheck reflects it, because he is now the highest paid offensive coordinator, making $6 million per year. Boom. That is a lot of money and commitment from the ownership group, Mark Davis, Tom Brady, and the rest of the Raider ownership group to be dropping that dime. So yeah, we'll see. High spread, okay. All right, thank you. The high spread offense. All right, okay. Let's see. Yep. Yes, sir. I hope so. I hope that happens, Bob. Time to take out the Chiefs. Go Eagles. Thank you. Sacktown. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you, man. Sacktown. Thank you. Oh, Sharif's in. Hey. Yeah, I'm going to put the link up too. So if you guys want to come and join. Bishop. Hey, Bishop. Yeah, I was going to talk about that too. That was crazy. I was watching the fights last night, right? Benavidez versus Morrell. For any of you guys who are boxing fans, we can talk boxing. Or if you're a UFC fan, there was a UFC fights yesterday too. But I was in the middle of watching we were watching the boxing fight, me and Papa Rundown. And all of a sudden, Big Daddy Jose sends me this news. And I'm like, what? And at first I thought, is this like a joke? And then I saw Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Felt like an NBA 2K trade. So Bishop, I'm going to put up the link. If you want to join in, brother, please do. That's so if you guys want to talk about that, $6 million a year. I memean, the one thing I'll say, Sharif, is that they're committing. They are definitely committing to winning. Like, I mean, it feels like it's an all gas type of move. We got Patrick Graham back, right? That's exciting. I was excited when that happened. Me and Papa Rundown talked about that on Thursday night show. So if you guys didn't get a chance to check that out, please watch the replay. That was a pretty fun conversation. We talked a lot of our own predictions about the boxing match that just happened last night on that one too. But yeah, and then we were happy that Rob Leonard got brought back. So we felt like, all right, that means Max should be ready to stay. And it'll let the defense, continue its progress. But yeah, the Chip Kelly one, wow. And again, that's what we would like to talk about tonight, right? We don't know. We don't know if they are going to draft the quarterback. I mean, they're going to have to draft the quarterback, I'm guessing, in one of the rounds, but I don't know if the first round pick is going to be that. And yeah, I know the Laker one, that was crazy. And one that right before I went on, it just got reported. Apparently, De'Aaron Fox is going to the Spurs, and Zach LaVine is going to Sacramento. And there's a lot. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyhow, let me see here. Let me go ahead and get the stream, guys, up for you. And if you're joining us now, we are on the Captain Jack Rackham channel. It's on Roku right now. It goes on for a couple hours where we're just going to talk all sports with anyone who wants to talk sports. And there was a lot that happened this weekend. There was UFC Saudi Arabia. There was the big boxing match between Benavidez and Morrell. It was 20,000 here at T-Mobile in Las Vegas. It was a crazy night of fights. The Pro Bowl just happened, Senior Bowl just happened, and then all these different coaching hires and crazy trades. So jump in, Bishop, Sharif. I am putting it on right now. So if you guys want to go ahead and say your piece about it, should be all going on the different channels that I could put it in. And then like I said, if you guys want, we could start with the whole Chip Kelly news because that just blew my mind. All I can really do is tell you what's being reported out there, but I kind of want to know everybody out there's thoughts on that. Like $6 million for offensive coordinator. I mean, it's a lot of money, man. That's all. I mean, it would suck to fire somebody you just paid. All right, I'm going to bring on Black Thanos. Sharif, good to see you, brother. Happy New Year.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now, give us your thoughts. What do you think about anything?
Well, good to see you. I'm going to touch on two things mainly as a member of the faithful of the Lakers. And if my health cooperates, I want to go back out to the crypt to see the Lakers at least once this year. Yes, that was a seismic-like earthquake shock. Probably the biggest trade in NBA history that I can remember, where you have two top-tier superstars almost in a swap with a few other complementary pieces. The word is that LeBron found out as he was here in New York after beating the Knicks and having a phenomenal game that he was with his family having dinner. And supposedly he found out at the same time that we did. People have to remember there's a new ownership group in Dallas.
Yeah.
So they're not married to Luka so much as Mark Cuban was or is. And though and the sense was this summer he wasn't going to sign on for an extension. But you're getting a 25-year-old global star, a kid who incidentally idolized LeBron James. I mean, Luka is to LeBron what Kobe is to Jordan. He patterned his game after him. You could hate LeBron, you could despise him, but those are the facts. They still need defense. The trade deadline isn't over. Though AD should do well in Dallas with Kyrie and Klay Thompson, that's a intriguing trio, but nobody saw this coming. But the Lakers are set. LeBron is 40 years old. Let's say he plays maybe 2 more years tops. Luka's only 25.
Yeah.
So you have your face and your star for the future. Even if the Lakers don't do much this season, I think they're thinking long term. And Luka probably wanted a change of pace. And like I said, with the new ownership running things with the Mavericks, I guess they just feel bold, sort of like Jimmy Johnson many moons ago when he got rid of Herschel Walker and people thought he was crazy.
Right.
But he was actually on to something. So
right.
We shall see.
Sharif, do you believe the whole, because I saw a clip of when the new GM or the GM of the Dallas Mavericks was alongside Jason Kidd, and he made it clear Jason Kidd didn't even know that this move was happening. So it was just between him and Rob Pelinka. They kept everything very tight-lipped. They've been kind of sort of talking about it. So what do you think about that? Because there's some people on the chat that say they don't even believe that LeBron didn't know about it.
It's, most of us assume, LeBron is the hidden hand that controls everything. But remember, he's a lot older now. And let's face it, if you get a phone call as the Laker GM, look, we thinking about moving Luka, you listen. LeBron or nobody else, especially a 40-year-old LeBron. Right. He was 35, 34. Maybe you want to consult with him or whatever. But as a 40-year-old who's broken every record known to man damn near and don't have much to play for, maybe a 5th championship, that's credible. Because Pelinka, who was close to Kobe, is still the GM. And if he decides to pull the trigger, LeBron can pout or be upset or demand a trade. But thus far, you haven't heard anything from him concerning that. So I believe it because a deal of that scale, you can't let that out. It was basically like the art of the sneak attack, damn near midnight here on the East Coast as we got the news. And I thought maybe it was some, trolls or somebody got hacked. But sure enough, as after the Lakers beat the Knicks and that was past 11 here, Nobody saw that coming because, AD, he's 31. He is injured sometimes, but he's a defensive powerhouse. He can give you 25 points and 12 boards a night. You pair him with a Kyrie, you pair him with a Klay Thompson and some of the other things they got going there. That's intriguing. Maybe, like I said, the new ownership with Dallas have their own vision. And maybe they thought giving Luka 400 million, 350 million don't make sense to them for whatever reason. So
where do you see them as a Lakers fan? Where do you see the Lakers with this move? Not like you said, not even just the rest of this season, although they probably will make the playoffs. What do you think, Sharif?
Well, they're the fifth seed right now. And oddly enough, AD didn't play last night, and they beat a pretty good Knicks team in Madison Square Garden pretty handily, as LeBron had a triple-double and 33 points. Austin Reeves is there. That great rookie Dalton Connect is still there. And there's some, pretty good pieces there. They're good enough to still make the playoffs, even with the subtraction of AD, because unfortunately, it seemed like at the worst times, AD tends to get hurt. He get poked in the eye. There's a stomach issue, pulled groin, whatever. He's had a litany of issues. But when he's on top of his game, he is a equalizer. He's a dominant force. He's the rim protector, and he can score. But he's never been comfortable playing a true center, which is what the Lakers really need. LeBron is a man who can play all five positions, so he can play off the ball with a much younger Luka, basically being the quarterback, if you will. So, the Lakers will make the playoffs. I don't know how far they will go. I'm rooting for them nonetheless. I don't think they are done. I think they're going to grab a big man before the trade deadline is over, and that's when we'll have a better idea.
Wow. Well, speaking of QB, Matt's already asking what QB will be the best one for Chip Kelly. So what are your thoughts on that one, Sharif? We can get back to the NBA, but what are your thoughts on that? That was a big one too. Like that was like bam, bam, right?
Chip Kelly getting. Yeah, that's incredible. But his association with Ohio State, the championship pedigree. However, let's be brutally honest. As a head coach, he has failed miserably more than once, but he suffers from the Josh McDaniels syndrome. Whereas as long as he's a OC and he can play a complementary part and focus just on his concepts and his philosophy as a OC, he's proven to have been effective, just like Josh McDaniels with all his Super Bowl rings. But as a head coach, he failed with Denver. He failed with us. So I think Chip Kelly brings a little bit more experience and legitimacy. He isn't really he's alienated a lot of players as he was the HC in Philly. But now that he's not the head coach, he's more or less just focused on the offensive side of the ball. That's what Josh McDaniels.
Let me ask you real quick about that, and you can keep going. But with the Eagles, from what I understand, and again, man, I'm not a Chip Kelly expert. I do know that his offensive, because he's a part of that whole Dan Mullen, New Hampshire Mafia, and UNLV here in Vegas. We have Dan Mullen, and we're really excited about that. So we assume that, it's going to be the spread offense and tons of offense, and it'll be really fun. But from what I understand of Chip Kelly, his first year in Philly, he won 10 games, made it to the playoffs. Second year, he did well too, didn't make it to the playoffs. And then in the third year is when he kind of messed up, and then he got fired after that, I guess, because he traded away like all these, like LeSean McCoy and the whole bit. So anyway, you can keep going, but I know that I guess as a head coach in college, he wasn't great, but he was always an offensive-minded genius. So, but tell me about that whole thing, or all the different things you know about Chip Kelly.
Well, I've never been what you call a quote-unquote Chip Kelly groupie. Obviously, he's a familiar name. as far as his experience with Philly, I just vividly recall a lot of the players just not being able to get on the same page as him. And every coach or coordinator has a certain approach. Not everyone has those personable skills, which is also important when you're trying to delegate and oversee a team of 53, 54 men and get them to buy into your mission. That's where Josh McDaniels failed when he lost the locker room and Mark Davis had to fire him in the middle of the night on Halloween a couple of years ago. So,
Right.
but as a offensive guy, he has the experience. He has the know-how. He's coming off a national championship with Ohio State. So the metrics of it, the optics of it look great. $6 million is a hell of a statement for OC. And if you're going to commit that much money, you're not bringing him to look over Gardner Minshew or AOC. No disrespect to that kid,
Okay.
who I like a lot. But I tend to think there's something in the works because at 6, as opposed to where we were a year ago in the draft, you can make a realistic reach for that number 2 pick or number 1 or in the top 3 at least, because not all those 5 teams need quarterbacks like we do. So I don't think the Raiders are necessarily out of the Shedeur Sanders sweepstakes, given Brady's personal history, tutelage, and interaction with Sanders, given that Sanders in some ways is like Jaden Daniels in terms of his poise and maturity and just being generally a good kid. He gets a good rap because of who his father is. And a lot of people grew up watching his father, but as a arrogant player, but a very good player, as a champion. But that's not necessarily Shedeur. So he's a kid who won't be fazed by the material temptations of Vegas. He grew up rich, as opposed to a kid who came up in a poor family coming into Vegas. You're getting this big contract. Dion has trained those boys since they were children, literally, what to expect, how to conduct themselves, the mistakes he made. So that's actually to his advantage. And I think those are some of the things that attracted Tom Brady to him, to actually have a hands-on relationship with him. Though Brady is a broadcaster for the most part, but he has that experience with Shedeur and those positive impressions of him. Because if you're gonna get a big name coach, the highest paid OC in history, and remember, the Raiders are the same team that made Trent Brown the highest O lineman in history, and briefly made Derek Carr the highest quarterback in history until Matt Stafford signed his deal. But if you're gonna do that, you definitely have to be pursuing a quarterback. That's just the next. You know, you don't get, say, like a legendary driver like Dale Earnhardt to drive a broken down Volkswagen. Did I lose you, bro? Hello, hello, hello.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. The computer freeze. Sharif, if you want to get back on, I'm sorry about that. I don't exactly know what happened. The computer froze up. Sorry about that, Sharif. Again, I will put the link back up. I'm sorry, everybody, again, about me dropping off there. That was a really weird thing that happened. Let me get the link back up for you guys. Sorry, Sharif. Come back on. I'm so sorry about that. Don't exactly know again what happened. Ed, if you want to jump in tonight, we are definitely talking about that breaking news. I just put the link back up. So yeah, I know. Again, I don't know what happened. The computer froze. Sharif was talking. I think I'm back on now. So let's see. Let me get your comments up. Bishop, yep. Yeah, maybe. Or it could be Patrick Graham. We never know. Let's see. Raiders will. Okay, the Sanders campaign. So yeah, Ed, if you think it's going to be Sanders, I know Sharif was talking about that before him and I kind of got cut off. So again, I apologize. Black Thanos, if you want to jump back on so we can talk some more. Sorry about that. Yeah, my computer froze, Sharif, so I couldn't even control anything. But go ahead and keep going what you were going.
I don't know what's the last thing you heard, bro, but I know I was touching on Shador, and
that's what I have right now. Edward says Raiders will only be out of the Sanders campaign after he's picked up by another team, Sharif. Until then, I think we're going to get him. So, I mean, do you think somebody else will get him, or are we trading up to go get him?
Well, you never know. And then of course there is the other GM on another team who will use that as a bargaining chip, even if they're not genuinely interested in Shador. So there's a lot of variables, but as that guy just commented in the chat, yeah, I think we have a very strong likelihood to go after him now more than ever, with the pieces being put in place and a seasoned and respected, accomplished OC, not a great HC, but an accomplished veteran OC. If you're going to pay him $6 million, you're going to give him a blue chip prospect to groom and work with. Honestly, some people have talked about the Giants, but to be real, prior to Geno Smith, who came in due to injury, the Giants haven't had a black quarterback in literally 100 years. That's just not something that franchise is known to do for whatever reason. I'm just stating the facts. I'm not trying to be controversial. Those are just the facts. And I don't necessarily see them picking in the top 5 for Shador Sanders. I don't see the Mara family making that about face, that 180, say, oh, well, he's the special kid, let's grab him. I do see them perhaps dangling him to attract a Raiders or someone else in a potential trade scenario, perhaps. But I believe Brady and this new GM, Spytech, if he's learned anything with his years in the business, have something in the works to bring a QB of appreciable quality. And remember, Pete Carroll in his press conference made it clear he's thinking about the present. He's not talking about no 4 or 5 year abstract plan. That Super Bowl national champion wants to win now, or at least make a serious impact in year 1 of his regime, and then build on that. So to me, that's the next logical step. And Shador being poised and mature and used to, the fast life or some of the finer things in life, growing up in that, Las Vegas will not faze him at all. He's a really good kid who gets a bad rap because some people just hate his father from 20 and 30 years ago, as Dion locked down their favorite receiver, or was, making rap videos and winning Super Bowls with the 49ers and Cowboys.
Well, Bishop says the Titans are looking to trade back. So, Sharif, if you were going up from 6 to 1, what would you be willing to give up? Or would you just play the waiting game?
That's a good question. That's a little above my pay grade, but that's what we brought Spytech in here to do. So if he has any pull, any cachet, I wouldn't do anything crazy as far as anyone that we cannot replace, or someone who's really integral to this team's foundation. I mean, most of the nation agree Max is more or less off limits, so that's a no-brainer. But I would say maybe a second rounder, or maybe perhaps next year's first at the minimum. If you're serious about that guy,
we're giving up a first. Ouch, that hurts, man.
well, that's in this day and age of inflation, which is not immune to the NFL. As a year ago, if me and you were having this conversation and we were dreaming about Jaden Daniels, all of us pretty much knew it would cost us at least 3.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, hell, that would have been a bargain.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, hell, after you blew picks on Abram and Leatherwood and Henry Ruggs and Clelin Ferrell, hell, we didn't wasted like 5 first-round picks already. So what the heck is 3 for a generational kid like Jaden, took a last-place Washington team deep into the playoffs? Well, but I mean, that didn't happen.
Edward
Telesco didn't even make a phone call, which to me is negligence of duty, and probably why Mark Davis fired him 48 hours after letting AP go.
Right. Matt Marinovich says, give the Giants Aiden O'Connell in our first this year and next year to move up for Shador. I had Shakur Stevenson on my mind. Matt Marinovich, sorry about that. That's too much. See, I already don't like all of these trade scenarios, Sharif, because we're giving up so much, man. When I honestly feel like if we just play a little bit of that waiting game, I mean, look, Senior Bowl just happened. I don't know if you got to watch it, but and everybody's been talking also about the fact that Abdul Carter is just the best guy to get. So if the Titans pass up on Abdul Carter, if whoever they end up getting, whether it's Cam Ward or whoever ends up failing, that staff's getting fired. Versus if they just stick with Will Levis and then they get Abdul Carter, then nobody's really going to get fired because they're going to be like, well, you couldn't really pass up on a generational player like Abdul Carter, right? They're talking about, I heard about now the Senior Bowl happened. They're talking about that Jalen Walker kid from Georgia. He's supposed to be like a generational linebacker. Mason Graham. So that's what I was saying is like, it's possible that Cleveland, for example, might take a quarterback. Let's just say. But if you're worried about Myles Garrett being possibly leaving at some point, and you have a shot at getting Abdul Carter, who'd you really rather have, right? If you're Cleveland, let's say. So that's why I was like thinking, don't you believe that it is possible that Sanders would drop to number 6?
I can see that. Only because of maybe some conservative owners and GMs concerned about the Sanders element. And I mean more or less his father, the whole thing that comes with Shador. Though as an individual, he's not a bad kid. He's never got into trouble. He approaches the game the right way. He tries to play it the right way. But the shadow of Deion and his influence on the media and within the media, maybe some GMs don't want to tiptoe around that. So yeah, I can see him dropping because there is a consensus among some that this QB class leaves a lot to be desired. But for us, we haven't literally drafted a meaningful quarterback in a decade. Now is the time after you pay a OC $6 million and you bring a Pete Carroll here, who groomed a Russell Wilson into the winningest quarterback for a 9-year period, to get your guy who's built for this moment. So I can see him falling to 6. Not like we're at 11 or 13 like a year ago. That's very like Jacksonville sure as hell ain't gonna take him. So why not?
I got Hunter Ellis. Hey, nice to see you, man. He's saying no to Sanders. And then Raiders Rebel, who's joining us, says trading back. Watch. So I don't know, man. I mean, again, there's that theory, right, Sharif, of there are people thinking, well, the Raiders will just trade back because they'll get more value, blah, 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 right? Bob Stannard is asking, Raiders should get Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner in free agency. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I heard one report, the secondhand, though, that Russell seems to be interested in staying with the Steelers. Maybe he don't, just like with a romance or ex-girlfriend, sometimes you don't want to go back to that ex. In this case being Pete Carroll. Pittsburgh did give him a shot when literally no one else would. And, with a little bit of retooling over there, and they did make the playoffs, he's a lot closer to success with Pittsburgh than with us. So, if you're in the mind of Russell Wilson and at his age, maybe 34 or going on 34 or so, that would probably make more sense, especially if him and Tomlin are in a good space, both of them being kind of similar, both of them Christian. So I don't necessarily see him coming back here from some of the things I've been seeing and reading from, Steeler fans that I know.
Okay. All right.
And if we trade back, because we definitely wasn't going to do it with Telesco, who only did it once, and that was for Monty Teo, the catfish guy. But if in a alternate draft, if somehow we end up with Carter and Jackson Dart, I would be as happy as a pig in slop.
So, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Matt Marinovich is saying, what about we just take Jackson Dart at number 6? Now that would break news. Like, that would be huge, because I think, Matt, you're saying irregardless of Sanders or Cam Ward, wherever they end up, you're just, why don't we just take Jackson Dart at number 6? Is he that good, Sharif? Is Jackson Dart that good that he's a 6th overall pick?
That's pretty bold, because you can get burned, especially if someone takes Sanders after us and we see him excelling. And despite his relationship with Brady and having that advantage, we would look even dumber than we have been in recent drafts. I necessarily wouldn't take him there. But then again, a lot of Raider fans were deadly against Bo Nix a year ago. Oh, he ain't this, he ain't that. And sure enough, look who makes the playoffs as we finish at the bottom of the AFC West. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Broncos. So, there's always the variable of the unknown. But if it's up to me, no, I got to go with the safer bet. I got to go with the brand that I trust. In this instance, being Sanders, the man that Brady personally has praised, complimented, worked with, studied, observed, his habits, his approach to the game. All of those intangibles are the most important things to a man like Brady, who's won more Super Bowls than anyone. And that he's had the privilege to see in Shador face to face, not through tapes, not through a visit to a school sitting in the stands with a clipboard, but, face to face and man to man. So, and if Brady give the thumbs up, then you got to roll with it.
Well, what we're talking, so Sharif, you still there? Can you hear me?
Yes, bro. I'm here.
Sorry, my computer keeps doing this weird thing where it's freezing. So the Chip Kelly news was big. Obviously, we were kind of touching upon that. There are people talking on the chat about best available players, the way to go. Is there anyone you saw at the Senior Bowl that you want to get also on any of the other rounds?
Well, honestly, I didn't have opportunity to watch the Senior Bowl with so much going on in my personal life that Cap kind of knows about. But just in terms of what's been happening with the Raiders for the last number of years, and number 4 no longer being here, And sooner or later we got to stop singing the same old song. We need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. Yet every year there's a convenient excuse for not to go get our guy. And yet we watch teams who are behind us jump in front of us. Denver went and got their guy. Hell, even Atlanta reached for a quarterback after giving Kirk Cousins a mega deal. So when do you put on your big boy pants and say, damn it, let's get our guy? It's been long enough. I mean, Derek Dallas Carr's been out of here almost 3 years now, come this season, and we still don't have a suitable replacement. You can get enough. Yeah, Brock Bowers is a great tight end, and we won 4 games. We did not get better any shape, form, or fashion by drafting Brock Bowers. He had a hell of a season statistically. He made a lot of fantasy owners happy, but the Raiders were in last place, worse than they were the previous year. And especially with no run game, with Josh making the playoffs with Green Bay. So it's time to get QBs matter in this league. Cincinnati knew that when they went after Joe Burrow and told Andy Dalton, thank you for the 4 playoff appearances, but now we're going to think big. The Chiefs understood that when they moved on from Alex Smith and got Patrick Mahomes. Or the Bills getting their guy. It's our turn now. Uh-oh, I think your screen froze.
No, that's a good point. And sorry again. Thanks, Sharif, for the. Yeah, no. I'm right here. Can you hear me, Sharif?
Yes, I hear you, bro. I see you now. Yeah, you were off screen, so I wasn't sure, if there was
that was great.
a computer issue.
Yeah, no, that was a really good take. And again, I apologize to everyone for seeing me pop in and pop out. My computer keeps doing this weird freezing thing right now. So sorry to everyone. And again, I put up the link for all of you guys if you want to join in. We got about another hour to go. Sharif's been awesome with all of his takes tonight. So I'm putting it up again, Rebel, if you want to come in. That's the link. You guys just click on it and then you can join us. All right, let's go off for a second on this, Sharif, and we'll get back to the whole coaching and how excited everybody is with the Raiders. The NBA is going kind of crazy. How much of it are you watching? Because I'll be honest with you, Sharif, a lot of my time since the season ended for our Raiders, I've been watching a ton of boxing, right? So I'm on DAZN. I'm watching all the global boxing stuff, Sharif. We just had again a big boxing weekend, and I don't think you were watching any of that. Unless you did, that would be great.
No.
But NBA wise, I haven't kept up. So I'm seeing all these crazy news, like De'Aaron Fox is getting traded, and I guess the trade deadline is still there. So I am a Warriors fan. I grew up in the Bay, and there keeps this thing about Jimmy Butler. Is Jimmy Butler gonna? Where do you think all the different trade moves are going to happen? Because some people in the chat were saying it's not over yet. I think you said Lakers will probably get someone else. So between now and February 6th, what are we looking at in the NBA?
Well, I will say buckle up your seatbelts, because when you have a seismic tide-changing move like a Luka joining LeBron, other teams are going to get reactionary, particularly in the wild, wild west, and try to keep up pace. Butler is an interesting saga. I think he's basically wore out his welcome there. Your Warriors are in a state of flux. His age and other things have caught up to them. And there have been persistent rumors for years about Draymond, who's very close to LeBron, trying to recruit him to go over there. I don't think that's going to happen.
That? Would you take LeBron? Would you take Draymond with the Lakers?
They could use his defense, and they damn sure could use the rebounding. I think that would work out great for them, because he doesn't have to contribute that much offensively. It would be similar to when the Warriors were at their peak with Durant, Curry, and Thompson. When you got a Reeves there, when you got a James there, and you have a Luka Doncic there, who averaged 29 points. His job is just, get the rebounds and lock down some of the best scoring opponents, which he still can do to a certain degree. So you got until February 6th. The Lakers and the Mavericks have made their move. I think the Lakers definitely will look for a big man if they are serious about contending with the Nuggets and teams like that.
Who would you want, Sharif, as the big man? Like, who is out there that you can get, that you can see is realistic? Now that they made the move to get Luka in, who's the big man you're thinking about?
Oh gosh, I really have to take the time to observe who's potentially available and the respective contractual situations of certain names. I can name a few people who are not really realistic because of what their situations are with that team, or the contract, or no trade clauses. Because just like you, as you've been watching boxing, I don't really fully detox from football till after the Super Bowl. And then usually around early spring, as basketball intensifies and the All-Star break is finished and they're, making their race towards the playoffs, for me, that's when the NBA really starts to pick up steam. I think the season is too long, and they may review that at some point in time. But I'm going to leave that up to Pelinka, Kobe Bryant's old friend and GM, to make a sensible choice of someone who can complement Luka, James, Austin Reeves, Hachimura, and the rest of those boys down there. Because AD is a big piece to fill when you're talking about rim protection, block shots, rebounds, physical presence in the paint. Doncic can score just as much, or if not more. You got a top 3 player in Luka at 25. So if the Dallas Mavericks call you on the phone, you have to listen. Because just like you and everyone else, none of us thought that was possible. Imagine you're a Maverick fan waking up and saying the face of your franchise that's been traded for a very good player, but who's 31, who has an injury history, and who wasn't necessarily he wasn't even the best player on the Lakers. Right. LeBron just scored 33, 12, and 11 last night against the Knicks at 40 without AD on the court.
And this is coming from the same ownership group and the same GM of Dallas, who also gave away Jalen Brunson for nothing, pretty much.
Wow.
Right? So that's why I'm kind of like, because when I saw the trade, what was weird to me, and again, it felt like one of those where if I was playing 2K and I wanted to force a team to give me the trade, right? It was kind of crazy because all the Mavericks really got out of it in return for a 25-year-old Luka Doncic was a 2029 first-round pick. And I've seen crazier trades where it was like you're getting multiple first-round and second-round picks and all these hauls of players and whatnot. So
that's right.
So I don't know, man. There was this theory, Sharif, where someone wrote an article when I think Kyrie was still floating around. And the way the person wrote the article, and if you guys look at it, it's on Twitter somewhere, but it was a dated article written by someone where they were saying Kyrie Irving would be the best Trojan horse if the Lakers ever want to get Luka Doncic. And the way the article basically talked about is it said what the Lakers should be doing while Kyrie Irving is in the market is to pump up Kyrie Irving so much that it forces Dallas to get him. And when you take a player like a Kyrie Irving, if you look at all the places he stopped at, what always happens? It always ends up blowing up because somehow the ownership that Kyrie Irving is the type of player that can carry the team, blah, blah, blah. And it was crazy because it was, I think it was like March of 2023 or something like that, that this was right. I don't know, but it was dated. And yeah, like, so I was going to ask you on the flip side, do you really think, because Luka, like Hunter Ellis is saying, Luka was a shocking trade. Do you really think that what the GM said, the Dallas GM said, we're a win now team, and having Anthony Davis on our team now helps us go for it? I mean, is that true?
Well, it can be if your approach is defense first. AD definitely brings you that. You're talking about an all NBA defensive player and starter, as far as all defense is concerned. Luka is a lot of things, but he's not a great defensive player. And according to some, they don't like the fact that he tends to be overweight, quote unquote, as far as, the weight they think he should be at. Can he still shoot? Can he score? Can he make plays? Can he distribute? Yes, he can do all of that. But some people think he can even be better if his conditioning was better. So maybe the new ownership just fell out of favor with him. Said instead of us committing this summer another $300 to $400 million to him, we get a all defensive all-star here who can protect the rim and give us about 24, 25 a night with a Kyrie, with Klay Thompson and some of the other complementary pieces there. And they were in the finals last year, though that was greatly due to Luka. But there's not a quantum drop between Luka and AD in terms of impact. Yes, Luka is more impactful because the scoring, his youth, he can distribute, he can get you assists, he can do he can pass the ball, he can do things that AD can't. But you have a Kyrie who can set a AD up. Remember when Kyrie and LeBron was together, they went to 4 straight championships. And maybe would have won 2 if Kyrie didn't get hurt in 2015 against your Warriors. That was a hell of a series as LeBron basically battled the Warriors by himself. So, I guess if they thinking about defense and they thinking about teams like the Nuggets and others who've been giving them fits, then, they probably think they still have a shot. Or maybe it's just something personal, is the money, but Mark Cuban isn't there. If Mark Cuban was still calling the shots, no way does this trade happen.
No way. No, man.
That's no way.
Right. He's not doing that trade. He just on principle alone.
Right. And definitely not for that, like you said, that low cost. Because remember, the 2029 pick won't even be that much because you got Luka, and let's say LeBron plays another year or two. Or, the Lakers are not going to really be horrible. Not with Luka there. Right. And some of the other young pieces with Dalton Connect there, who's just waiting to explode and make a name for himself. So, it's not like they're going to be some lottery team by no means.
Right.
So you're right. They really got fleeced because for the send a 25-year-old top 5 player and all you got was a very good big man at 31 who has injury issues. And a 2029 first and another player. No, you could have did a lot better than that.
And what's kind of not being said too. And if you guys are still listening to us or you're joining in on the replay, we're talking about that huge, crazy trade that just happened last night while I was watching the Benavidez Morrell fight here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Nobody's talking about the fact that. Remember how for a while they were saying Atlanta was so stupid for making the trade to get Trae Young and blah, 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 and they gave up Luka. Do you kind of think Atlanta Hawks actually won that trade now? in hindsight, they ended up getting their players, but Luka wouldn't have worked out, I guess.
Yeah, but again, who knows if the GM had people in the building spying or listening to Luka with his lifelong adulation of LeBron. He's not complaining. They could have shipped him off to Siberia or to the Brooklyn Nets or something where players go to die. Literally, I hate to say that. But, hell, they sent him to Hollywood. They sent him with the GOAT. The guy patterned his game after But again, they coveted AD. So I think their coaching staff is starting to reassess what their strengths can be, and they're starting to emphasize defense because they have players that can score. We know Doncic can do that, but so can Kyrie when he's on top of his game.
Right.
And so can a healthy Clay, as you know, as a Warrior fan, when you put him in the right spots and you got a KD down low, that opens it up for Clay all day.
Right. Well,
so, they're thinking.
Oh, go ahead, Sharif. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, no, I was just saying.
No, I was just saying. So, there's a method to their madness, I believe.
Right. And I agree with you on that. The way I just see the Dallas one is knowing Clay and his injury history. And then you talked about AD and AD's injury history. It's a big gamble. It's either all going to really work for them or they're going to get injured and none of it's going to work for them. But to give it up for basically, like nothing, man. I mean, like, I don't want to say nothing because obviously AD is, I guess, a win now choice. I'm talking more on the draft pick sense where they basically gave up 29 first round draft choice and that was it. But like you said, maybe there is something else with the owners. Maybe they don't like Luka Doncic because he doesn't work out. I mean, who knows, man? It could have been more of a personal politic move than it was a smart NBA business decision. Knowing what you know right now, because I know you're not all the way infiltrated into the NBA yet because you're waiting for the Super Bowl. But you're at number 5. If you were going to guess based on the NBA that you're watching right now, who are the 2 teams that's most likely to make the finals?
As much as I despise them, Boston is still a threat, obviously.
Yeah. They're getting to that dynasty look right now again, but all right, Boston's the threat.
On the other side of the equation, though they've been looking a lot more vulnerable, like the Chiefs look, but when it's crunch time, they always seem to put it together. You can never count out the Nuggets. Phoenix, I think, is sneaky for a few reasons. But, I'm putting my faith and hope full-fledged behind the Lake Show. I think it would be a hell of a story for Luka to get his first ring and possibly maybe even MVP if they fortify that roster and get a little bit more defense and some size there. Because between him and LeBron, or LeBron playing off the ball and Luka relieving that pressure off a 40-year-old, knowing LeBron's game, being able to put him in certain spots, Luka, who can be a lights out and clutch shooter when he wants to be at the drop of a hat, with Austin Reeves there, would connect over there, and a couple of good wingmans there on that roster. The Lakers been doing their thing, as you know, as a Warrior fan. We've been handling them pretty handily in the last 2-3 meetings against them.
Yeah, no, we know.
So
that Christmas game was quite a game. I was at Sunset Station Casino watching that game, and then I'm thinking in my head, Steph does all the 3. Here comes the comeback. It's at Chase Center, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna pull it off. And of course, Austin Reeves does his move, and then So Raiders Rebel agrees with you. He says the Lakers could win it now. So I hope. I mean, if for such a big move, that'd be a hell of a story. I don't know how serious that Luka injury is, that calf, but we'll see, right? I mean, I don't think Pelinka would have.
And you know what? You just touched on something that if they feel he was or suspect he was dogging it or exaggerating the nature of the injury, who knows what's going on behind the scenes? That could possibly be a reason for them, unloading him. Because, again, with their concerns about his conditioning, about his weight issues, or they don't think he hit the gym as hard as he could, and they may believe that's contributing to the calf recovery time, or maybe he's just being extra careful, like Kawhi Leonard has done plenty of times. But this is a new ownership group. This ain't Mark Cuban where you have that grace with.
Right.
So I'm sure the Lakers of his physicians and doctors check them out, did their due diligence or whatever, so they're not getting damaged goods or have to put them on the shelf for 6 weeks or months or whatever like that.
Right.
But I have a feeling he will get his spring back in his step, playing with his childhood idol, being under the bright lights of LA, feeling a sense of redemption and reminding the people who he is as a top 3 to 5 global player in this game. It's scary. If you're a Laker hater, you're gonna have a lot to hate once he gets interwoven into the system there and nurse that calf injury. We don't know how serious it is or it isn't, but hell, it's not like AD haven't had a litany of injury issues. I can't begin to count how many times he got for a headache. His braids were too tight. He stumped his toe. I mean, every 4 or 5 games, it was something else.
Right.
So Luka's not necessarily known for that. But and maybe his heart felt a little disenchanted with the administration change over there, and he might have felt a little shade or lack of respect. So, there's a lot of things that go into these decisions. Whereas, all right, well, we're just going to trade him. We're going to bring another great player over here and retool this lineup and see what we could do. Right. So Luka's happy because he's playing with the guy he patterned his game after. And I'm sure he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And the first game we play against them, he's going to make them pay.
Right. Hunter Ellis put Thunder versus Celtics, and I didn't really. How come you don't think the Thunder can make it, Sharif?
No, I don't say they can't. You could never count on SGA or whatever. But I gotta stick with the home team. But they've let me down in the past when I needed them to get rid of certain nemesis. But we shall see. Then it's once the All-Star game is over and the smoke clears and the trade deadlines are finalized and we see where Butler ends up and what big man the Lakers get, and you mentioned the Spurs activity and who knows what else may be in the works.
Well, now,
your
I'll
boy,
tell you right now, breaking news is that the Warriors just said we're no longer going to try to pursue Jimmy Butler because apparently Jimmy Butler didn't want to sign the extension. So the Warriors are out. They don't want Jimmy.
Wow.
Butler. So I don't know where Jimmy Butler. Maybe Jimmy Butler will end up with the Lakers.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, If he can grow another 5-6 inches and put on some weight, we could use him at center.
Right.
But wow. But you see that just goes to show you that the Warriors, as well as many other people, everyone's trying to put their hat in the ring and level up. This is that time of the year for the NBA. Once they saw that move by the Lakers, and the Warriors are known for that. They're very reactionary as far as paying attention to what's going on in the West and adjusting accordingly.
Right. And again, man, like as fans, and I've been a Warrior fan since the Run TMC days. I mean, that's I remember when we sucked and they were giving out tickets for us to come to the theater. And
that place used to be emptier than a Scottish pay toilet. I heard those stories back in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
You would go to the restaurant, you get free tickets, and Chris Mullin looking all sad over there. Yeah, those were Latrell Sprewell so mad, choking people.
Yep.
I remember those days.
Back then. Well, what I was going to say, though, is then we had our share of winning, obviously. And, we're kind of okay with, all right, we're just going to trust ownership and whatever you guys want to do to rebuild, that's fine. It's not, we're not lacking in fans now because we kind of know there's going to be swings of things. Raiders Rebel is asking, Sharif, so Lakers can run small ball and be a lot faster, but can LeBron keep up with that pace? That's a pretty good question. Old LeBron, you think so? What do you think?
Well, if he doesn't necessarily have to, well, he won't necessarily be the one, or he don't even have to be the two. That's just how versatile he is. So, hell, he's still giving you quality production at 40. Now, I think they know LeBron well, and they will take in consideration as far as what will work best for him, right, and the team overall. So I think they can have a happy medium there. Yeah, they can go kind of far with small ball. I mean, there's been teams that, hell, the Warriors basically relied heavily on 3-point shooting during their mini dynasty era, when you had a Durant and a Clay. Durant being a 4-time scoring champion, and Clay and Curry a 2-time MVP, 2 MVPs on the floor. It was like, you had to pick your poison. The Lakers can kind of be similar, though they don't necessarily have a Draymond Green, yet anyway, until we'll see till February 6th. But never count LeBron out. He's not a regular human.
True.
Even if he gave you 30 minutes a night, or he probably can even give you less with Luka being there now. You can preserve him for as when you get to the playoffs in those 7-game series.
Right.
So that's a win for him too, because Father Time is undefeated. And we noticed in the last year's playoffs, and even before that, as they made it to the conference finals, he was just a little too gassed to get by that high altitude in Denver. But they made it there. But, he was like 38, 39 then. So, but with a Luka there, you're not asking him to, all right, can you please bring the ball up? Can you find an open man? Then can you do this? Can you do that? Luka can do everything LeBron can do. And that's dangerous, because now you got a younger LeBron on the team also.
Right. Hunter Ellis saying, though, the Lakers don't want to see the Thunder in the playoffs. Them young legs will bring out the truth.
Maybe so, but when Luka's hitting 35 footers with his eyes closed, and then you worried about Austin Reeves, or wondering who can guard LeBron one-on-one from 15 feet near the paint. You can have all the speed you want, but basketball IQ, that's another great thing Luka has, because he patterned his game after James. They are both thinkers.
Right.
And that's what made the old Utah Jazz team great, though they could never beat Jordan. They outthought everybody. The way they executed, the way Stockton and Malone would set things. Everybody knew what they were doing, yet they were still able to do it. The pick and roll, play after play. But they didn't have the athleticism to beat a Michael Jordan and a Scottie Pippen. But they outthought everybody else in the league, so their efficiency, the shooting, all of that was through the roof. They just couldn't beat Michael Jordan.
Right.
Now you have a guy with a basketball IQ through the roof like LeBron on the team as well, who's 25 with a chip on his shoulder, who's top 5, maybe top 3, who just took the Mavericks to the finals last year. Let's not forget that part.
Right. Well,
against a deep Boston Celtic team that's very athletic.
Raiders Rebel says Luka's going to make the whole team better. But Edward Winchell says now the Lakers have 0 defense and nobody wins with no defense.
We shall see after the trade deadline. Because if their approach is, well, we got to score 130 a night, theoretically they can do it. It ain't much defense in the NBA, if you want to be honest.
That's true.
You look at some of the hell. Look at the Warriors run.
Good, I know.
Stephen Curry ain't no damn defensive superstar by no means.
Yeah, no, that's
but he didn't need to be.
Edward Winchell says, mark his words, Ingram's coming back to LA.
That would be something. We shall see.
And then, come on, Hunter. Don't you don't want to start this, but yeah. So Hunter Ellis is trying to get you riled up, I think, Sharif. He says Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But come on, man, we're trying to make this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I understand. Jordan's got a devoted fan base out there. He sold a lot of sneakers. You got to remember that when you're talking about a Jordan, you're talking about a man. I think he's 1-9 in the playoffs without Pippen. Scottie Pippen basically carried him like a Gucci backpack for years. You're talking about a man who had a Hall of Fame coach. LeBron James has never had a Hall of Fame coach. And in fact, he's taken first-year coaches to the finals. That Cavalier team in 2007 with Boobie Gibson and the overweight dude, Dante, whatever his last name was, nobody go to the finals with that roster. And he was 22.
Right.
He's done more with less than probably anyone you can name in the history of this game. And he gets compared to two guards, whereas his natural position for his body type is really power forward. But he's such a hybrid and freak. They try to recategorize him, and that's why they're always comparing him to a Kobe and a Jordan. The shooting guard job is to shoot. So, of course, Kobe can, God rest his soul, can shoot lights out. Jordan can score. There's no doubt Jordan could score, though if you look at his efficiency, you'll get a better idea just how efficient or lack of efficiency he was. But you're talking about a man who's 6'9", about 260 pounds, damn near Karl Malone size at one time, who's shooting, rebounding, setting people up. You've never seen that before. He was like Michael Jordan. He was like Magic Johnson and Karl Malone, and a scorer all rolled up into one. Usually, and out of all of his finals, only 2 times his team was the favorite, which tells you he was always on the underdog, but he was there. Right. He was never favored against the Warriors. Damn sure wasn't favored in 2016 against the Spurs with Duncan and that Hall of Fame coach there. That dynasty that won 5 championships, the San Antonio Spurs. Yet he was able to beat them. He's beat Durant in OKC. So, the level of competition, when you're talking about a Jordan who played a out-of-shape Barkley, beat the Jazz twice, a coked-up Sean Kemp, Clyde Drexler and that weak, unathletic, booty short-wearing team, stop. The OKC Thunder with Westbrook, Durant, and Harden alone is deeper than any team Jordan's ever played. Don't even talk about the Warriors.
See, chat, why are you getting Sharif all mad? See, now I'll tell you the truth, Sharif. For me, so me and Papa Rundown were just talking about this on Thursday night, how we love the team sports, obviously, right? We love football, but they're all team sports. They're all team sports.
Right.
One individual player, Will Chamberlain, during his time, we could argue was probably the greatest, blah, 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 at that time. And he didn't win that many championships because Boston was a better team. And Bill Russell was a better player with the better team, and that in terms of like leadership and all of that. Anyways, not to say that again, the GOAT, the logo wasn't good, man.
Jerry West.
But having said that, that's with me and Papa Rana, we always talk about when we talk boxing, boxing's translatable in any era. And that's why I'm used to these type of arguments, but when we argue it, we go way back in history when it comes to boxing. And I know you're not a deep boxing guy, which, by the way, Sharif, why are you not a deep boxing guy? For a guy who likes the football and the NBA, why have you never really, why are you not into it?
No, I won't say I'm not into it. I mean, the big ticket fights, of course, I'm tuned in, with the popcorn and everyone else. I'm slightly older than you, so For me, the golden era is coming past, whereas you just see some of the corruption and blatant politics in boxing, some of the farces that have taken place that turned some people off to the sport. I remember the great days of the middleweights of Duran and Hagler and Leonard Hearns, that era, or the heavyweights of Foreman, Ali,
Yeah.
and
So
Norton. So, that's more or less my era.
So Sharif, let me bring you back then, because this is what me and Papa Rundown have been trying to educate everyone on. And Raider Nation, if you're listening, we've been trying to explain to everyone that because you live here in the United States, unfortunately, you're not equipped to see how amazing boxing has been in the last 2 years. But the best are fighting the best. The heavyweight division has never been better, or I mean, this is as good as it was back then, because there's so many Olympians and Olympic medalists that have all are in that pro range. And these heavyweights are 6'6", 6'7", 240, 290, 270, and knockouts are happening, and it's great. But Sharif, in order for you to obviously watch this on a weekly basis and see what's going on, you have to watch global boxing. And unfortunately, the reason why in the United States, and I'm just going to say it, I know everybody hates it when I say it, but it's the truth. The reason why in the USA boxing isn't on TV and Stephen A. Smith isn't talking about it all the time is we don't have a Mike Tyson. We don't have Deontay Wilder was great until he lost, right? But the problem is we don't have, we haven't built it yet. Now, I can tell you as a boxing person that we have a ton of great USA talent. I'm very excited to see them all rising. But Gervonta Davis would be a classic example. I'm sure you know who that is, right, Sharif? Tank Davis.
Yes.
Everybody knows Tank Davis. You know why, though, that Tank Davis has not made boxing popular in the United States? I'll tell you exactly why. Because Tank chooses to fight once, maybe twice a year.
Wow.
And when he does, right, he's not necessarily fighting the very best people in his division. Now, Sharif, if I were to bring you right back into actually seeing what's happening in boxing, it's every bit as good, and I could argue that it might even be a little bit better than the 80s and the 90s right now, because you're literally watching the best fighting the best at their peaks. So last night is an example of a big fight. But a friend of mine, I asked him, I said, hey, do you know about what's going on at T-Mobile? He's from, he's from France. So he said, well, I'm not really familiar with David Benavidez or David Morrell. Right. And that's fair. But if I were to tell you right now, Sharif, for the people who do watch boxing on a weekly basis, are subscribed to DAZN, which, by the way, for you guys who are not subscribed to DAZN yet, DAZN only costs $13.99 a month, which is less than Amazon Prime. As long as you sign up today, it's only $13.99. So, Sharif, if you want to get back into boxing, man, it's worth it for you to just pay for DAZN monthly, because you see every week. I'm not kidding. Like, boxing is weekly. There is no time off, because you see every match globally. You see it in the UK, you see it in Russia, you see it in Japan, you see it in Panama. Like, you're actually seeing it, and you're going, damn, there's a lot of great fighters, like amazing fighters. And all the biggest fights are kind of like, back when Ali went to Africa to go fight George Foreman, or George Foreman fought Joe Frazier in Jamaica. That's what boxing is now. They're in Japan, and they're in Australia, and they're in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. So I'm telling you, Sharif, you would not only would you get right back into being a boxing fan, you would be like, wow, this is amazing. Again, unfortunately, you'll have to be fans of non-American fighters, because the best fighters in the world right now are not in the United States. They're really not. Our best chance was Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson was only 23 years old in August. He's 17-0 with 15 knockouts. And everybody was saying, big baby Anderson's going to be the next great heavyweight that's going to take America to the state. So he fought the guy from Congo, who is 6'6", 290 pounds, the boogeyman of the heavyweight division, the number one contender for the IBF. And they fought a great fight. Sharif, if you watch, in fact, I want to send it to you. If you watch that fight, Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole, you would go, damn, these guys are really killing each other. They're going at it. And they fought in LA,
Wow.
Sharif. It was in LA.
Wow.
It was at the BMO Stadium. And Sharif, this is how crazy it is. You know how back in the 80s and 90s when we were, or in the 80s and even the 70s when we were watching boxing matches, every card was stacked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Hagler was an undercard. Leonard was an undercard, right? That's what boxing looks like now. Literally right now. That's exactly what boxing looks like. The undercards are title fights. They're stacked. So that fight of Jared Anderson and Martin Bakole, that was on the like the third fight or the fourth fight of the night. It was an undercard fight. And it was a great fight. And Jared Anderson got knocked out almost out of the ring. That's how bad the American talent is. You know, in terms of
I really do admire your passion for the sweet science. I don't know if I have the stamina, if you will, to watch all the preliminary bouts. I'm more at this stage in my life, I'm more into the big events.
Okay.
Once they built their records up, and this guy is 18-2, or this guy is 20-0. I'm eager to tune in just like everyone else.
I'll tell you right now, Sharif, you know how you were saying you're into the big ticket fights, right?
Right.
Well, it doesn't get any bigger than February 22nd. But let me ask you a question. Do you even know about the Super Bowl of boxing that's happening on February 22nd, or you have no idea?
No idea. The only fight I'm mildly curious is the one in September with
Crawford and Canelo. Right. That's gonna happen.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but I'm gonna bring you back in, Sharif. What would you say if I tell you, and this is part of the problem in America too. So I'm gonna make this short, but this part of the problem in the United States. Last night, I had to watch I wanted to watch this boxing match, David Morrell versus David Benavidez. It was an amazing card. It was at T-Mobile Arena. In order for you to watch it in the U.S., they were blacking it out unless you bought it on Amazon Prime. And on Amazon Prime, it cost $80. Now, again, I bought it. But I didn't want to pay that. I didn't want to support them, but I had to because I want to watch it, right? Someone like you're going to be like, there's no way I'm paying $80. Screw it. I don't know. Okay, now here's what's crazy. And this is what I'm going to tell you. Now I'm telling you why American fans don't understand that boxing is actually at the level of the 80s and the 70s and the 90s right now. If you own DAZN, those big fights are all for free. You just turn on and they're all you pick them. Oh, I'm going to go watch that one in Australia. That's the main event. Oh, wow, that was great, right? Like that happened January 8th on a Wednesday. That was the first fight of the year. It was the Cruiserweight Championship of the World. It was the best cruiserweight, like the Holyfield versus the Ika Biyabuchi. I mean, it was like awesome, right? It was this great fight. So to bring you back into the fold, February 22nd, in the boxing world and globally around the world, everybody knows about this. They're saying this is it's hard to argue that it's not the greatest boxing card ever put together. Because, Sharif, you are going to watch 7 world championship fights. You hear me? 7.
Okay.
The first fight you watch is going to be for the world title. Not only a world title, the heavyweight world title. And it is against Zhilei Zhang, the silver medalist from China, and the German body destroyer, Agit Kabayel. Now, I know you don't know either one of those names, but if I told you that a Joe Frazier type fighter is fighting a George Foreman type fighter, would you be interested in watching that type of a fight? I would probably guess you would be like, I'm curious. Now there's 7 of those. One of those fights, Sharif, is an American kid by the name of Shakur Stevenson. Do you know who Shakur Stevenson is, Sharif?
Yes, I've heard the name. Yes.
Okay. So Shakur Stevenson is right now being compared to Pernell Whitaker. He's like the Pernell Whitaker of the youngsters right now. He already has the WBC 135 title, and he's one of the hopes of the United States, right? Okay, Sharif.
So he's very good defensively, huh?
Very good defensively, hits very hard. Won't go for the knockout, but again, a lot of people get it wrong, get it twisted. They do knock him up. Hey, Jeff, nice to see you, man. I put the link on. I'll put it up again if you want to jump in. We only got a few, about 30 minutes, but Sharif's been great. So Sharif, check this out. He's one of the fights for the world title. So every fight you're going to see is for the world title. The two main events on the top is for the IBF World Championships between Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is the Evander Holyfield of our heavyweight division right now. He's 27 years old. Joseph Parker is kind of like your, I want to say he's like, you remember Chris Bird? You remember Chris Bird, Sharif?
Yeah, the guy with all the tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he's kind of like that. And then the main event is the undisputed light heavyweight championship, right? So all of these fights, right, they're all at 7. And I just told you that the last night's fights, I'm going to bring Jeff in because I'm trying to make Jeff a fan. Jeff, I promise we're going to stop talking about it in just a second. I'm trying to bring Sharif back in here.
No,
last night's fight, I told you, Sharif, on Amazon Prime cost $80. And you were already like, I'm not going to watch that. And I just
if you're a Prime member, I still have to pay it even though I have Prime.
Yes, if you're a Prime member, you still have to pay the $80. That's what I did. I paid $80.
Yeah. Okay.
Terrible, right? You're 100% turned off already.
Yeah.
And that was not 7 world title fights, by the way, but it was awesome. Like, again, I was enthralled, but whatever. I'm telling you that the fight coming up February 22nd is 7 world title fights. That's why they're calling it the Super Bowl of boxing. You're going to sit there and watch it for like 7 hours of your life because every fight matters. Okay. Every single fight, if you're a global fan, you're going to go, I have to support my American guy. There's like 3 Americans on the card. Virgil Ortiz is on the card. It's amazing. It's an amazing card. But if I were to ask you, Sharif, how much do you think 7 world title fights in one night would cost as a pay-per-view? As a casual American fan, what do you think it's going to cost?
Well, yeah, okay. As a casual, just from what people paid for Tyson and Mayweather fights, if you're talking about 7 championship fights, I would say at least 400 or 500.
Okay, you know how much it's going to cost you, and here's the
$80. No. And how much is your commission? Because I'm getting the feeling you're doing the upcharge on the upsell on me.
I just want you back, baby. I just want you back because you used to watch it, and I just want you back so you can see it for yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell Jeff. I just want you to come back.
Oh.
Right? Not only do you not have to have a subscription to watch this, I mean, I'm telling you, you should get the subscription because it's only $13.99, and you could catch up on all the great boxing from 2024. You'll be able to see all of it. But how much do you think February 22nd is going to cost?
Well, more than I'm willing to pay right now. I can watch the Thriller Manila on YouTube with a 6-pack for free.
No, I know, but this is going to be live boxing, and I know you think it's going to cost like $400 or $500, right?
Yeah, you said $80, right, for all 7 fights? Is that what you think?
On Amazon Prime. The one I'm talking to you about, the one I'm trying to get you to watch.
Oh, the Super Bowl of boxing. Okay.
The Super Bowl of boxing. And you don't even need to have a subscription. You just need to go onto the Zone app, and then you just need to pay the pay-per-view fee. It will cost you, sir, $23.99. That's how much.
I gotta admit, that's unexpectedly low. You know, I can't argue with that price.
Now
for 7 fights.
Okay, now here's what's crazy. In 2024, all of the biggest fights were either free, 100% free, or it was like $25. The problem again is you're not being told this because you got sick of watching corrupt boxing. Well, the way it all is right now is it's not that anymore. It's the best fighting the best, and you don't have to be subjected to paying those crazy prices, Sharif. So come on back, brother.
Well, I will think about it, bro. You know, and I appreciate you sharing that because, like I said, you know, I can enjoy a good Donnybrook when I'm in the mood, especially if there's some name recognition, championships on the line. But before I check out, lastly on the Super Bowl,
go ahead, sir.
It's a no-win situation. I despise Eagles fans, but I hate the Chiefs even more. I was in Philly for 2017 when the Raiders were there, and God knows myself and many other Raider fans damn near caught cases that night, dealing with the fans there.
Right.
But I'm not going to hold that against Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. And here's the thing, though, that bodes well for the Eagles. In most Super Bowl rematches, the team that won first usually will win the second one. Bills, Cowboys, Steelers, Cowboys, on and on and on. However, in the two exceptions, when the Redskins, as they were known then, beat the Dolphins years ago, John Riggins was the MVP. He had a strong run game.
Right. Yep.
And in the second game, whereas the loser won the second game, they had a very good running attack. So rushing was the difference. And this time around, Philly has the game-leading rusher in Saquon Barkley. And it just may be the difference if he doesn't fold up like a cheap lawn chair and stand up and answer the call. And it also would be a great storyline about the reemergence of the running back, because that's the era of football I grew up in. The Larry Zonkers, the John Riggins, the Earl Campbells, the Jim Browns, the Tony Dorsetts, the Marcus Allens, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. To see a running back win the MVP in the Super Bowl, that will take me back 30, 40 years. Right. And that's what gives the Eagles a fighting chance, because usually the rematch of the Super Bowl always favors the team that won the first one, unless the other team has a strong running game. And in the two instances that the losing team won the rematch, both of them had excellent rushing games. Riggins being the MVP against the Dolphins when the Redskins played them the second time in the rematch.
Right.
So I gotta say,
just
go
like you're
Eagles.
saying about the running backs coming back, boxing is back and alive. Running backs are back and alive. It's the old style football in boxing you've always wanted and loved. Find me on Facebook, Sharif, Angelo Reyes, or follow me on Instagram, Reyes Boxing, and I will send you free. You don't have to watch the old Ali fights for free. I will send you the best boxing matches you've been missing. Ring Magazine is back, sir. Ring Magazine, the actual print is amazing. So check it out. And Black Thanos, thank you so much. Hour and a half of pure entertainment, talking Lakers, Chip Kelly, what we're gonna do. It was awesome to have you, Sharif. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. And let the good Raider brother finish it out, and I'll be listening. Thank you again.
Later, man.
Jeff. So I want to do my shout out to real quick to Jack Kenna. Again, there's about maybe 25 minutes left, Jack, because just helping Captain Jack out. You guys know he's in Kansas. So I did it on Thursday with Papa Rundown, and we were talking about the fights that just happened here at T-Mobile last night, on top of all the Raider news with Patrick Graham and Rob Leonard and the whole bit, right? Big news today with Chip Kelly, which Jeff is going to tell us all about. Obviously, Sacktown Raider Mike, thanks again. And when is this fight on? Dude, I'm telling you, I've been sending Jeff stuff too. February 22nd on DAZN. I am going to put it on the chat so you guys can look at it. DAZN. It's the easiest thing to do. You don't even have to be a subscriber. Although, Sacktown, I suggest for $13.99 a month, you become a subscriber so you can see all these amazing heavyweight, cruiserweight, best fights in the world that I keep sending Jeff on YouTube when he could just be watching it live, for crying out loud, for $13.99 a month, right? So anyway, but you don't even have to be subscribed. You just have to pay $23.99 on the DAZN app, February 22nd. The fights start in the morning. It's going to start at like 10 in the morning. And then 7 world title fights will go all the way to like 6 at night. It's amazing. The greatest card you'll ever watch. It's amazing. So anyway, sorry, Jeff. I have to answer that for a second. Like, tell us how excited you are about Chip Kelly, or maybe you hate him. I don't know. I'm kind of excited, me personally, but you tell me. What do you know about Chip Kelly?
I mean, he did just win a national championship as an OC with Ohio. So, I mean, it's not a bad hire. It's not who I really wanted, but I'm okay with it. As long as he doesn't have aspirations to eventually, when Pete Carroll's finally, ready to throw in the towel at the end of his contract, and that's who they're going to replace him with, because he's already failed as a head coach before, and I don't want that. I want what we've got right now with Pete Carroll in here as our head coach. Somebody that's been there, done that, won on the collegiate level as a head coach, won a Super Bowl as a head coach, completely turned the Seattle Seahawks team around and, made them, a number one unit for a long time while he was there. So that's why Pete Carroll was my number one guy for when we were looking for a head coach. So I was happy there. I'm happy with everything he's done on the defense so far with who he's brought back. Keeping Patrick Graham is huge. I think what people
Rob Leonard too. Don't forget the Rob Leonard.
No, I'm getting there.
Okay, all right.
I think with bringing Patrick Graham back and Leonard staying here, with what I was going to say is, people don't realize how much that's going to impact the free agents we want to re-sign, the ones we want to stay here. With those two guys in place, still calling the shots on defense, the chance of us losing some of these guys is a lot less now. Because if Patrick Graham went somewhere else, some of those guys are going to follow him. Yeah, yep. I can guarantee you that. That's how much he was liked.
And we'll get hometown discounts too. That's what people are. Yeah.
Yep. They'll want to be here because they already see which way we're going with this. I mean, if you're a player on that roster right now and you're not excited for everything that's happened in the last week or 2 weeks, you check your pulse because you ain't got one. Everything that's been going on is everything positive for this team right now, between the GM, the head coach, the DC, now the hiring of an offensive coordinator that can help with the culture change that Pete Carroll wants to instill with this team. Like I said, he still wasn't my first choice. I really wanted to see us in the running for getting LaFleur in here from the Rams.
Right.
But what are you going to do? We got to deal with it now. But on the other side of this, what's up, Jack?
Hold on. Jack Henna's in, but we're listening to all of Jeff's stuff. Then I'll let you go, Jack. Go ahead, Jeff.
But with Howard there, and with Chip Kelly there now, does that give us a leg up on these Ohio State players coming out?
Like Henderson?
Definitely. Henderson, Judkins, even the offensive lineman that they
throw Will Howard in there in the third round for all I care. We need some quarterbacks.
Yep. And I wouldn't be opposed to that, because you already know what he can get out of this kid. And now at a pro level with such better talent around him, like a Brock Bowers, that changes everything on the offense. If we can get Howard, great. I still would prefer Jackson Dart as our future quarterback.
I'm glad you brought that up because earlier in the first hour, there are people in the chat that were saying maybe we just take Dart at number 6, and I was like, wow, wow, that's bold. I mean, I mean, again, and because there's so much word now after the Senior Bowl that maybe Dart every bit as a Cam Ward and a Sanders, right? And they're saying, especially if Cam Ward and Sanders do get taken in the first 5, who do you got left? Why even mess around? Just get them at the number 6 part, right? So I don't know, man. I'm just throwing that out there. That was in the discussion in the first hour.
I mean, that's where if you really want him using a number 6 pick for him when you've got so much other talent out there that we really could use immediately. Because let's face it, Dart's not going to stop from day one. Unless by some miracle, he just lights it up in training camp and preseason, and it's like this is a no-brainer to start this kid. But I don't see that happening. But that means you're going to pass up on the likes of Will Johnson, possibly Abdul Carter if he's there.
Mason Graham.
You're going to pass up on that to take a guy at number 6 that, for the same reason I don't want Shador or Cam. You're using a high-value pick at number 6 for a guy that's not even going to touch the field next year. That's why I'm so against grabbing a quarterback at number 6. Or the boneheaded thought of, hey, let's move up to like the 1st or 2nd pick and get one of these guys. No,
Well,
because
not a lot of people are also.
Look at the cost. Look at the cost of moving up.
It'll cost us our second round pick guaranteed, our first round pick next year. We're going to get our first round pick this year because that's what we're going to move up and get. But you'll lose your first round next year, second, and possibly even more beyond that because you're making a big jump.
So, Jeff, I just want to say this real quick, too, since we're talking about that. Not enough people, Jack, are talking about the fact that it is possible that Travis Hunter could fall to us because of all of these different – because there's only 5 picks, right?
Oh,
so
he may fall to us, but I don't want him either.
That's down to 3. So you're basically saying that those 3 ahead of us are picking Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter? You know what I'm saying? Like that not enough people are saying it is possible that a Travis Hunter could even drop. So there's a lot of leverage for the Raiders to move. And before I let you start talking, Jack, I want to say, Champy, thank you for coming on. Congratulations, Team Benavidez, Abel Ramos, Arizona Boxing. You guys are awesome. Or sorry, Jesus Ramos Jr. You guys are doing awesome. Jesus Ramos Jr. looked fantastic last night. I heard he's going back down to 154, which he's going to be a monster in. I didn't think he lost to Erickson Lubin in the first place. So, Champy, you can let him know I said that. And Team Benavidez, man, you guys are amazing. I remember when Jose Benavidez Jr. was a sparring partner for us when Manny Pacquiao needed some work. So, awesome job last night, Champy. Awesome job. So, anyway, sorry. Back to Raiders. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, salute, fellas, and salute, nation. Love all my boys, Sacktown. It was great meeting you last week. Casey with the Bills. We watched the game together. It's cool. Jeff, salute, brother. Angelo hooked me up with Captain Jack on doing the YYS show. Been doing that for a long time now. Just holding the place, bro. Just holding the place for Cap comes back. This is a lot of fun, dude. I always love talking about the Raiders. So now with our OC, what I see like the biggest need is we need guys that can do again. We need zone blocking, guards. We need it. It's that's the biggest issue.
Is that what we're gonna run though with Chip Kelly?
That's what Chip does though. You know what I mean? Okay. That's what he does. So it's we need that, right? We didn't do it very well last year. We got a mixed mosh of power and then zone. It doesn't work. We need guys. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles can run anything. We need offensive linemen that can actually do that. We don't have that right now. So I see that as a really big need. It's that's where we need to go. Because honestly, it didn't work last year. We got a running back, right? And Zeus. He can run outside. He can't run inside. He doesn't have any vision. And then we got our next backup. And the next backup.
Is this you telling us you want Ashton Genty?
No.
Is that what you're saying, Kenna?
No. So right now, if we don't get a quarterback, Jeff and I already had this conversation behind the scenes. But if we don't get a quarterback, there's 3 guys that I like. Number 1 is Graham from Michigan.
Awesome. He's amazing.
The wide receiver from Arizona. Number 3 is the cornerback from Michigan, which people are saying it's kind of slow, but I don't know, but I think it's good.
Will Johnson is the cornerback from Michigan. Tetairoa McMillan is the Arizona wide receiver. But Kenna, you're talking about number 6 though, right? And you know how a lot of people already gets mad about Tyree Wilson being number 7, right? This is the number 6 pick. We have plenty of chances.
Well, then we blew it on. We blew it. We should have drafted Carter.
Hard to say though, right? How
no, it's not hard to say. It's an easy thing to say.
About Travis Hunter coming to Vegas, there'd be too many distractions. That's kind of what it was being. You have to remember revision.
So Angelo, so if Carter, if he got drafted, would you put him at wide receiver or cornerback?
No.
Really do both.
No. What I'm saying is, when Jalen Carter was available to us back then, the word was he was coming from all this trouble, and if you had sent them to Vegas, we didn't really have the structure to hold them.
When you're like a 20-year-old kid, you do a little speeding. it's not like the Henry Ruggs thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the same situation. But that's what we came off of. It's like, that's what the Raiders came off of. So, like, possibly that had influence on the pick.
Right. But part of the reason, Kenna, why I like the Pete Carroll pick, for example, is what's one of Pete Carroll's rules? You got to watch out for your teammate. And if you know he's going to do something wrong, you got to go make sure that he doesn't, right? And we didn't exactly have that because even this year, one of our players got caught for driving under the influence. And yeah, so that's what I'm saying is I don't think we had the structure to have gotten all those. And I'm still going to hold out on the Tyree Wilson pick being a solid pick. I'm hoping that he really turns it up in this next season because it'll be his last one. I wanted at that time, I really did want CJ Stroud. I remember CJ Stroud being at a Showtime boxing event, and I was thinking in my head, oh my God, we're going to get CJ Stroud. This is amazing. And of course we didn't. So, but Tyree Wilson, again, I'll stay positive with Tyree until time happens. But yeah, Jack, I mean, the number 6 pick, right? I think we're in a great position. So with what you guys have been saying, like there's a Mason Graham. Mullen, I mean, that would be pretty. I can't remember the last time we took a wide receiver that high. Jeff, when's the last time we took a wide receiver at number 6?
Ooh.
Or high like that? I mean, I remember Henry Ruggs, but he wasn't number 6.
No, it wasn't Ruggs. It was
Tim Brown.
Cooper.
Oh, Amari Cooper. Thank you, Kenna. Amari Cooper. Okay, so
that's how much I remember that. That's how much of an impact they had on the team.
Okay,
he did have an impact, which is kind of crazy. It's like, he was like I think number 4 overall. Like, when we drafted him, and he did break some records.
He was in the first round too.
But he had a lot of drops.
Bringing in my Aussie buddy.
Hey,
there he is.
Hey, AR.
Again, gentlemen, we got like 10 minutes.
Long time no see.
We got like 10 minutes, but I want obviously Afkasi's all the way in the other side of the world. So
you're looking ripped, bro.
I'll be right back.
All right, he's gonna come right back.
Hey, I'll tell you what. When you're done here, I'll fire up a live. You guys can jump on and we'll talk some more.
Okay, cool, Jeff. As long as Jeff, you told me that you actually watched the videos that I sent you.
Dude, I love the fact that you guys talk too.
No, come on, seriously.
I've been talking to both you guys for a long time, so that's cool.
I opened it up. How's that?
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get one of these. I'm telling you, man, it's getting bigger and bigger, and I
believe you. I'm not doubting you.
Yeah. I'm willing to make a $20 bet that by December of 2025, you're gonna actually ask me questions about boxing because you're gonna see it free on TV, and you'll be like, "Hey, I'm kind of curious about this guy." So, but go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I got nothing.
Oh no, I thought Kenna was talking about the pick, the number 6 pick.
Oh, number 6. Like I said, there's 3 guys. It's like the wide receiver from Arizona is Graham. Graham is my number 1 pick, unless there's the quarterback that drops. And then there's a cornerback from Michigan. If you don't take one of those guys then I'd say, okay, we can go back a little bit. You know what I mean? We can go back a little bit, but we need to build up the guards. I mean, seriously, it's like the guards looking at what we're going to do. We're going to go zone again. Did we do good with zone blocking this year? No, not at all.
Any blocking this year.
We need guards. We talked about last year, like, the tackle, the right tackle that got drafted by, we took Bowers, but, the right tackle that was drafted by, was it the Saints? That was our boy, huh, Angelo?
Yeah.
That was our boy.
Yeah, no, and he did great.
Just real quick, I'm going to jump off now. I got to reboot. Then I'll fire it up. So just come over to my channel, and then I'll send you guys the link.
Now, before you go ahead and pump up your channel.
All right, it's NE_Raider Boosters. Come over to my channel. I have 2 shows a week that we do. Wednesday night is the Raider Connection with myself, Jay from Just Raiders Baby, LV Raider 10, and Cheetolinas. The 4 of us do the Raider Connection, and on Thursday nights it's myself and LV Raider 10. Both shows go on at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific. And the one on Thursday night is Raiders Coast to Coast. And pretty much now that we're in the off season, but now that we've got an offensive coordinator, now we can really start talking about free agency first, because that's the first thing that's going to hit. And
Oh, yeah. The right guard from KC is my biggest target.
The franchise tags is the first thing that's coming up. I've got a whole calendar up. I'll throw that up when we get into the other chat. So I'm going to reboot. I'm going to fire that up, and then I'll send you guys all the link. I'm going to send it to AR too, because I'm sure he wants to come on. So I'm going to take off. Everybody in the channel, thanks for watching. I'll be back. Hop over in a few minutes.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenna.
No problem.
Hey, no, it's good, Angelo. It's good to see you, bro.
Yeah,
you're the one that kind of set me up with the Wild West show.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. It's like, I thought you would really want to do it. I know your health was like, an issue. So I hope you're doing well, bro.
No, trust me, man. I mean that I've been doing a ton of different tests, and we were talking about this on Thursday. Transplant life is very up and down. It's not a smooth sailing kind of road. And even though I may look like I'm fine, there's a lot going on the inside.
When you do look good, bro, it's like, whenever I see that hat that you're wearing, it makes me think about your health. So
thanks,
God bless you, bro.
I appreciate that. Avocasi, go ahead, man, because we got like 8 minutes. Go get them.
AR.
Tell us about Chip Kelly and what do you think of all these moves? Patrick Graham, Chip Kelly, Rob Leonard's back.
Look, I like it from they have experience, credentials perspective. I mean, Pete Carroll has won a Super Bowl in his 10 seasons. He made the playoffs 10 times in his time at the Seahawks. I think that spanned 14, 15 years, something like that. So that in itself speaks for itself. Went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1. Chip Kelly has had a degree of success. He was with Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
I think, you're right.
Chip Kelly was with Ohio State.
He had three seasons with the Eagles, right? As a head coach, made 2 playoffs, and then missed out once, and then he was fired.
That's correct.
I watched a little bit of him when he was head coach at the start of his head coaching tenure with the Eagles, and I did like the creativity from what I saw from the offensive side of the ball. So if that translates over to the Raiders, then I'm all for that. As for Patrick Graham, I was critical of his first year with us, but he definitely made me a believer come year 2 and year 3. Despite the struggles of the team as a whole, I think Patrick Graham did everything in his power with the pieces available, so to say, with the resources to, get the best out of the defense. So I am happy that he's been retained. So overall, I'm happy across the board. My only minute gripe is, of course, the age with Pete Carroll. Not ideal, you know what I'm saying? But, it seems like we're going to have to, while he's at the helm, possibly groom somebody to be the next head coach to take over, because who knows how long he's going to be there here, even if he succeeds. You know what I'm saying? So
I agree, bro.
Takes on the situation.
You're going from a Gus Bradley system to a Patrick Graham system, which is totally different. You know what I mean? It's totally different. So it's going to take a little time to grow and learn, going from those 2 different defensive schemes. But I like what we got. It's like, getting Patrick Graham back was like the biggest signing of the whole offseason for me. Because, you got to think of guys like Spillane, Kuntz, Butler, all these guys are coming back for free agency. And now I think we have a chance to get a lot of them. I think we have a chance.
I think if we retain K'Lavon Chaisson.
Ooh, Chaisson, yeah. I like him over Kuntz.
Right, because, Malcolm Kuntz has been out injured. I like Malcolm Kuntz, but K'Lavon Chaisson definitely played himself to deserve to stick around for a little while. So where does that leave Kuntz? You know what I mean? Like,
well, you look at the money, just the money factor. It's like, I heard stuff like reading articles, Kuntz, even though coming back from injury, is almost $18 million. Where, Chaisson could be like 5 or 6. I'm like, dude, I'm all about Chaisson, man.
Exactly to my point. Like, I like Kuntz. I would love for him to stay, but he's an unrestricted free agent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure we're going to give him an offer. We're going to try not to let him leave, but there's going to be other teams that are going to offer him more. I don't doubt that, even despite coming off of injury. He has no ties to us outside of that. We drafted him. So, and the connection with Patrick Graham, being able to get the best out of him come year 3. But outside of that, man, if a team comes along and gives him yay amount and we're only giving him B amount, which is going to be less, then, you know, these players got to go where the money's at. And I don't blame him. So I would like to see Kuntz back, but my heart tells me he's gone.
Well,
Yeah,
this
me too, bro.
is where we're really going to see where Spytek, you know, the whiz kid, as they say, right? We're going to see if he's as good as they say. Now, again, I can only go off of what he's done, and I kind of like what he did with Tampa, if I'm being honest. I like how he drafted. I like how he was able to get them to all, like 40 of them were starters this year. That's kind of cool. That means that he's got a very developmental mind. He's not trying to get rid of people. He actually wants to see him, like, he invests in the scouting. So we'll see. We got about 3 minutes, Jack.
Well, let's head over to, the Jeff's channel. It's like,
I want to
continue the conversation.
You can start heading over, Jack, and then Avokasi, any other things, because one of the subjects that was being brought up is about the number 6 pick. So what are your thoughts on now having it all set? OC, DC, Rob Leonard's back, which I think Kenna was a bigger one, because somebody else would have taken Rob Leonard as a defensive coordinator. And then with the number 6 now, you can move up, you can stay, you can move down. What are you doing, Avokasi?
Well, BPA.
Okay.
Whoever they deem is the best player available, I'm all for it. Preferably, I would like them to address the quarterback situation. I would like them to address the running back situation. But if they feel that they can do that later, so be it. But
Chat talked about taking Jackson Dart at 6. What do you think about that?
Well, I haven't seen enough college football to give a fair judgment or shake on these players. Like that's unfair for me. And I'm not going to pretend that I know much about these guys outside of what I hear from the streets and the few highlights that I see. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, in my opinion, you can only give a fair opinion on these guys if you watch them game in and game out. And I haven't done that. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that. But I do like what I've heard and what I've seen from the kid. I ideally wouldn't like us to overreach for the guy if that's what it is. But you know what? If he's the quarterback that they believe can take us to where we need to be for the future, then so be it. Because, look, I got to be honest, man, and this with all due respect to you, Transplant. AOC's floor ceiling to me is he can be good/very good. I don't see him as a quarterback who's going to take us to the playoffs or further into the playoffs and to a Super Bowl. Respectfully, like, for me, that's not his ceiling. And ideally, I would like a player whose ceiling could possibly be that. You know what I mean? Like,
you want Joe Burrow. You want Joe Burrow.
Look, I'm not going to give names, but you know what I'm saying. Like, for me, AOC's proven that he can be good enough to start in a pinch, win some games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying he's not a good enough.
He's a good backup.
Like, he's a good enough backup, and good enough can start. He's proven that. But I want us to swing for the fences for someone we can say, yes, he's the guy who's going to take us to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? And no, I'm not giving AOC that nickname you gave him. You know what I mean? That to me is blasphemy. He doesn't deserve that just yet.
And real quick, Avokasi, who is that player for you this year in the draft? Who do you want? You want Cam Ward? You want Shador? What do you think? Don't know enough about either one.
I want Graham.
Okay, if I could have anybody at all, despite the fact that he's probably not going to be there come number 6. I like the few things I've seen and what I've heard about Cam Ward. You know what I'm saying? Like, he seems like a character guy, and I like, from the few highlights that I've seen from him, I like what I see. He's got that it factor for me that would make me believe, yes, he could possibly, I'd like to stress, be the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Shador Sanders, of course, he could be the guy, but everybody knows the question marks about him. You know what I mean? Like, is he, what kind of a character is he? You know what I'm saying? Is he too much of a character for Vegas that's going to lead to off-the-field distractions with the team and all that yada, yada, yada? I don't know.
Right.
But
all right. Well, we got to go, everybody.
Anyways.
We're jumping on to Jeff's show at the NE Raider 1.
Salute,
Thank
brother.
you for watching the Captain Jack Rackham show. Thanks to the guests. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you on Thursday, 6 o'clock. I'll see you in a second. Fugazi.